Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to Sunday Comics. Sunday Comics, the weekly show on Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I take up one particular comic, and then we just focus on it, look through the whole thing. Now, you're not being incepted. I said I was going to do her Heroes Incorporated presents issue number one. I just couldn't find it. It uh, the the thing is, this is magazine sized, so this is a regular comic. This is magazine size. So this is in the magazine box, and it's right there. Uh, the issue number one is in the comic boxes, and it's just there's only two issues: one comic sized and one magazine sized. Issue number two is magazine sized, and I must have put it in the wrong spot, and I was looking for it for 3 hours this morning. So I took a picture of it online, put it on because I figured it would be in alphabetical order and I could just find it, but I can't find it. I know I have it. No, I read it. I checked because it's Heroes Incorporated presents Canon. So I looked under Heroes where it should be. Then I looked under Presents. Then I looked under Canon, and I can't find it. So it's just somewhere in the wrong box. I will find it eventually, but I'm not going to go through 170 boxes looking for I just it's just not going to happen. So I'm going to continue doing my cataloging my collection because it's not in box 1 to 53 because I already cataloged those. I would have found it and put it in the right spot. So it's got to be after that. So there you go. So and it sucks because I prepped for issue number one actually. But what do you want me to do? But this is such an odd little comic. I just wanted to talk about it. So as always, we got Fund My Comic is the website where Heroic Tales 2 is still active. It's in demand, and it will be in demand until my next campaign. Then I shut everything down, and kind of make you go to the new page to check everything out. So that's so check out Heroic Tales 2. The last pages are being colored. Then then we letter them, format them, print them. So it's down to the brass taxes here. Take a sip of delicious Tim Hortons Sunday coffee. So tomorrow at noon, I'll have Sandy Peterson on. Sandy Peterson is a game designer. He designs board games. He designs video games. You probably know you've all played a Sandy Peterson game. You all played Doom, the original Doom. He designed that. I didn't know that when I first talked to him, so I wanna ask him a few questions about Doom. The thing about Sandy Peterson is all you do is you say hello, and then that guy talks. But last time he was on my channel, we talked about H.P. Lovecraft because he designed the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. But and then at midnight tomorrow, why am I doing this at the beginning? I always do this at the end. But midnight tomorrow, I will be talking to Heather Velli's boyfriend. I don't even know his name. I don't know what he looks like, but he is a newbie comic book collector. So I just thought it would be interesting to talk to a person who just got into comics. What's their perspective? What interested them about comics? So I thought that would be if you know what? I just thought of something. People watching this, if you have kids that are just got into comic and you come on too, maybe talk about like why do kids like manga over comics, things like that. That would be an interesting thing to talk about. So if anybody has a friend or whatever that's a kid. When I say kid, we'll say 20 and under. That's either just getting into comics or into manga, doesn't like comics. That would be interesting to have a conversation about that. We got Zach. And then Tuesday at noon, I got Chuck Dixon. And then after that, I don't have anything scheduled. So I'm having a blessed Sunday. I just woke up and I couldn't find a comic. I could use a blessing. This put me in such a foul mood. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you'll know that every few months I just wake up with the wild hair. I am just in the worst mood the past couple of days. And then not being able to find this comic. We'll leave it at that. Who's the lad in the red spacesuit? Well, we'll check. We'll find out. We got Crenshaw. FAO. I always think of FAO Schwartz, the big hoity-toity toy store in Manhattan. That's where Tom Hanks did that dance on the keyboard in the movie Big. Good morning, Crenshaw. How you doing? I never played any of those games. Yeah, Marcus dabbles in board games, right? But you and your kids played a couple of games. I'm a big board game player, although I haven't played a board game in a while. Itching to play some. There we go. And all right, we're all caught up. So this is Heroes Incorporated presents The Misfits. And of course, the phone's ringing. Who's calling me? I have no idea who that is. Okay. The Misfits, Cannon, and Black Angel. Let's open this up. So check, this book is about Heroes. Heroes is published annually, which is funny because the first book came out in like 1969 or 1970. So it was years between issues. Okay. Robert P. Layton. Wow. Editor. Bob Layton's editor. I didn't realize that. And Bill Pearson assisted it. This is Wally Wood's Thunder Agents. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Hello? Hello? You have the wrong number. Mrs. Spidrakis is looking for Tony. I hope Tony's okay. Oh, perfect timing, huh? Tony? All right. So this Wally Wood had the Thunder Agents in the 60s. It was can my mood get any worse? So Wally Wood had the Thunder Agents in the 60s, a comic that I liked. I should do a Thunder Agents. I should do Thunder Agents #1 for Sunday Comics. But it was by Tower Comics, and the art is spectacular. Gene Collins, Steve Ditko, the George Tuska art in it I didn't particularly like, but the art was spectacular, and the stories were like for children. It was like the equivalent of the Super Friends kind of story. But people died, so it was a weird comic. The Misfits. So this is Wally Wood characters. So this will bring you up to speed over here because it was literally years in between issues. So going forward, I'm going to do a page comments. So synopsis: Mistra. So who was asking me about who that woman was on the cover? This is Mistra, and check out that body. Holy moly! Wally Wood could draw a woman, huh? And Wally Wood is a fan, as my mother would say. She's very healthy. That was like a nice way to say big old boobies. And remember, Wally Wood drew Power Girl first, and that's why Power Girl is famous for her Sweeneys. So Mistra, Shag. So synopsis: Mistra, Shag, and Glom have just killed an alien who landed in a flying saucer and nearly conquered the Earth by mental control. A strange hypnotic telepathy that turned men into mindless zombies. But Mistra, whose mental powers nearly matched him, was able to engage him long enough to free Shag and Glom. So this is Shag, and this is Glom, who attacked and destroyed him. But now they're examining the installation he built on Earth. So pretty much that's a synopsis of everything that happened. So this comic, for those of you who are confused, is an anthology. There's a Wally Wood story. There's a Steve Ditko story, and Black Angel, and then we never see or hear from these characters again. Real shame. So they're on the moon. They're misfits. They were like prisoners because of strange powers, and a lot like the Perfect 10. She was like created. Now she's telepathic. If you're gonna make a chick, give her big old healthy boobs, right? And then we got Shag over here, this little freaky boy, and Glom, big dumb brute. So just check out this panel. Look at this, all of this detail, all of this. I could just look at this opening page forever. Like this. The ironically, the worst part of it to me is this drawing of Glom. But like all of this, like she looks great. This boy is kind of interesting, but all of this background stuff. It's not really. I mean, I'm looking at the composition. It's just a big guy holding up two characters, but all of this detail in the background just makes it. And what do you think of the black and white? Do you like that? And the Misfits communicate with each other by telepathy. So now they're talking. What we can't wait for them to take. They have a moon. They have a base on the moon. We could take their saucer ship. We could investigate them without being blasted. So now they're commandeering one of their saucers, and they're going to find out who. In the first issue, aliens were trying to conquer the Earth through telepathy and mind control. They resisted because they're the misfits. They are the exception to the rule, and now they're going to their moon base. Look at this panel. Look at that. The craters. It's just so cool. I wonder how long it took him to draw that. And Marcus, you could correct me. I know I'm going to say this wrong, but didn't Wally Wood, his famous quote is don't draw what you could trace, don't trace what you could swipe, or don't swipe what you could copy and paste, or something like that, but that's the gist of it. So all of these people fighting about my 3D assets, stuff like that. Let me introduce you to Wally Wood. Wally Wood would have been a master of 3D assets, but I'm going to speculate here because I never met Wally Wood, and obviously he never encountered that technology. But I think if he did have 3D assets, I think he would use them, but then he would draw over them and make it look like part of his art. Like that's the problem, is like people are using my 3D assets, but they're doing it lazily. Jack Kirby used photographs. Wally Wood, like I said, he would literally cut other things out and put it on his board, because it was all about being professional, getting it out on time. Now, if he had an annual comic like this, would he do it? I don't know. I don't know if he could do it at his leisure, but these are people that understandably were working under time constraints. They had a, like I didn't realize this until Marcus said it a couple of weeks ago, that they would pay the printer in advance, and if the printer didn't get the comic to print, that money was used. Hey, we held a spot for you. You weren't here, So I don't think the printer would mind that. You know what I mean? The printer's like, okay, we got paid. We bumped somebody up. We're ahead of schedule. Now pay again for issue 2. Pay again. So that's one of the things that Jim Shooter cracked the whip of. We paying for advance. We can't be late. We can't be late. Oh man, I have a Farberware coffee pot, and it is the best brewed coffee in the world. Farberware percolator, metal pot. I will not drink coffee that's brewed in a plastic pot, and it is the best. Get yourself a Farberware metal coffee percolator. Oh my God, it's the best cup of coffee you will ever have in your life. If you learn one thing from my channel, it's get a Farberware coffee pot. All right, so a lot of comments. I never played any of those games. My kids play board games. Yeah. If I go down to Heroes Con, maybe we'll play board games with your kids. That would be. Oh, they live all over the place. They're adults. They're not kids. Hello. That was not me. Oh, Zachtan. If you called me and gave me a blessing on the phone, that would put me in a good mood. Thought you were doing an audio check. Bob Layton was an assistant for Wally Wood, as was Ralph Reese and Dan Atkins. I see. I didn't know that. Marcus, he knows it all. Man, that is a beautiful first page and inside cover. Sure is. Wally Wood is outstanding. I'm looking over here because I bought an anthology of Wally Wood's early sci-fi work, and I if this isn't a call to start organizing better, I also got to organize my comic book files. I was looking for a trading card art, and I couldn't find it. And I know it's colored, which means I have the Renzo black and white, and then I have the Oscar color. And I got to go through all my files. Good morning. What are Shag's powers? I'm guessing Glom is strong. He's like a little agile monkey telepathic guy. Good morning. What do you think of the anthologies in general as a comic book? Good question. First off, hello, Dark Alchemy. Dark Alchemy is my buddy Roy. Roy, Jimmy is going to be dropping off another 70 D&D books. Now, I have a strange request. I was thinking of making a video of all of the D&D stuff that Jimmy dropped off. So if you wouldn't mind bringing back that stuff that you took, make a video, and then Jimmy has more stuff for you to take, and we could, just do a video of all of that stuff. If not, I don't, Jimmy's got another 70 books that he's dropping off. So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Roy has Dark Alchemy Labs. Is it Dark Alchemy Limited? No wonder I always, when I recommend the channel, nobody knows what I'm talking about. It's Dark Alchemy Limited. And I keep thinking Dark Alchemy Labs. Dark Alchemy Limited. And they do D&D stuff, Dungeons & Dragons stuff. These guys are the most hardcore Dungeons & Dragons guys you will ever find. Old school. We're all the same age. They live a couple blocks away from me. We met through, well, actually, it's a funny story. Jimmy and I used to play Villains, Vigilantes, and Dungeons & Dragons as a kid. I moved away, went to different high schools, and then I think he went to a dojo, learned martial arts with Roy, and they started playing Dungeons & Dragons and Villains, Vigilantes. So that it was like these two splinter groups that were like this, and then converged. Long history, and these guys do wonderful D&D stuff. They 3D print their own stuff. They make their own files. Scott is one of the four guys from Dark Alchemy Limited, and I think he does like 3D designs, and they 3D print stuff. They 3D printed my little. I paid to get a sculpt of the Patriarch, and then they 3D printed it. Scott gave me a handful of them, which I forgot to put on this campaign, but I'll put it on Patriarch #1 campaign. Just Dave is there, Dungeon Master, and they come over periodically. We play Villains, Vigilantes at my house, but they run Warhammer tournaments. They play D&D you can't get more hardcore D&D than that. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, check out Dark Alchemy Limited. I apologize for saying Dark Alchemy Labs for so long. So let's get to his question. Good morning. What do you think of anthologies in general as a comic book? Anthologies are hit and miss. You pick up an anthology and it's always like one good story artist, and then the rest are a bunch of nobodies. And very rarely do you get all anthologies that are really good. And I'm shooting myself in the foot because my 12-page story is going to be in an anthology for somebody else's comic that I've got to be quiet about until everything's finalized. But the only person who's 100% on board of this anthology is myself. Renzo is practically done with the art. He just submitted the second to last page today. So there's that. And everybody else is like, yeah. But everybody says, yeah, until it's time to put up the work. So I wrote my story in such a way that if this anthology falls apart, I could still use it for Heroic Tales. But to answer your question, they're hit and miss. It's funny. And now I realize that I'm submitting. Marcus is in the chat. He's finishing up a 2-page silent public eye poinsettia story. And I want to submit it to an anthology it came out on a Wednesday for Turner Comics. So I like anthologies. The problem is it's like a ball of, what is it, Forrest Gump? Life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get, so there you go. I like the idea of them. The best thing about anthologies is sometimes well, I have 2 points of view. Point of view as a comic collector is it'll introduce you to somebody that you don't know, and you're like, oh, I never saw this guy. Like, as a comic creator now, I'm like, these are wonderful opportunities for small people to get into a book with a big name, and then somebody else wants to buy that comic because it's got a big name, and they read your stuff, which is one of the biggest names is going to be in this anthology that I'm hush hush about. I hope. They said yes, but again, saying yes doesn't mean you're going to do the work. So there you go. Don't make a gal telepathic. Do you want her to know? You say, yeah. I've said this a million times. Telepathy, mind control, these are powers that are easily corruptible. And to me, if you are telepathic or especially mind control, that is a route to evil. Some powers just, cause like a slippery slope into evil. Look at how many times Xavier's been the problem, or Xavier, however you pronounce his name. I forget how I even pronounce it now. I say Xavier just because I knew a person in real life named Xavier. Now I know two people in real life named Xavier. So I say Xavier. Although one of them says Javier. Javier was like a J. They're very Spanish. But Xavier just sounds too artificial. But anyway, I agree. Telepathy just makes problems. Marcus says, yes, he said that. Yes, he said that. Glom looks like Egu, the stone man from the old Herculoids cartoon. Yeah. I was going to say something, then I realized I was wrong. But the first issue, it was like 10 years prior. The first issue was 7 years prior. And the Herculoids, I think, was in the early 60s. So Egu was first. Good morning, Marcus. That's how most artists use 3D assets as part of the art. Yes. You'd be surprised how many artists have been using 3D assets either through Photoshop or literally cutting out other things and pasting it onto the storyboard. For how long this has been going on. The secret is, how do you use it? How do you blend it in with your art? Like I said, Jack Kirby did it. Wally Wood famously did it. I wouldn't be surprised if Will Eisner did it, but you didn't know they did it because they're talented, they're talented artists in their own right. Anthologies are pretty hit and miss. Exactly. I'm not getting too attached to anything in the story. Fairy tales, I guess, are types of anthology. Yeah. That's why Wally Wood has a lot of assistants. Joe Orlando worked with Wood in the 50s and 60s. Sure, let's do it. Okay, cool. Thank you, Roy. Roy is a good guy. I don't. Let me know when. You got it. Whenever you want to drop off the stuff, and then it's yours. And there'll be more. There'll be more for you. Oh, and speak. Got on late listening while only doing house stuff. 70 books in the car. There you go. Confirmed, Roy. Wait a second. Is this giant size Marvel comic from 1978? This is not a Marvel comic. The company is Bill Pearson. Bill Pearson Comics. It's a super indie. Super indie. Thanks. All good. And Roy, if you want to be on camera with me too, talking about this stuff, that'll be fun. I'll set the camera up on the table over there. Me and you talk D&D. And then, we'll make it a co-op effort. Longbox and Dark Alchemy. I was doing an anthology in the late 90s with two other guys, and Diamond rejected it because they said anthologies don't sell. It came out on Wednesday. It's probably better than most anthologies. That we agree on. Alterna has a good track record for good comics. That was a weird, awkward sentence. Alterna has a track record for good comics. Even big publishers and anthologies often block. I agree. I read a few good science fiction anthologies. It's a good format for throwing out ideas. Oh, okay. Let's talk with Tonic Bowl, and we both have a remarkably similar idea for a story, but different enough to be different stories. So that we concluded that they're set in the same setting, same universe. So this, I'm still fleshing it out. My process is I think about it, I write down the plot lines, the things, the things that need to happen, and then I start working on an outline, and then I write the script. Nothing has been written yet. It's still formulating up here. Literally, I thought of it Friday afternoon, and it's a science fiction story. And then we thought, what about an anthology? So it's funny that this topic is coming up because the tentative title is Dark Space, and it's and Tonic Bowl has like a whole universe created in his head. And what I told him, he said, that all fits in my universe. So I was like, okay, so how about I write a script, I send it to you, and then you just add names or whatever to fit your universe. I'm cool with that. I said, but my story's gonna have no alien races, no, but everything else it's a story of humans traveling in space. The name of the story is called Derelicts, and it's low science fiction, like probably closest to The Expanse. You know what I mean? No laser beams, no space wizards, and whatever. But it's space horror inspired by aliens. I wear my inspirations on my sleeve. Red Star Communications Network is key in our V&V campaign. Also in D&D, sending and message make the story much easier. Communicate. Oh, okay. Red Star is the name of Roy's character, his superhero character in Villains Vigilante, who may or may not make an appearance in a future issue of Heroic Tales. She is it's funny because she's really like a girl from Missouri, and she thinks that she's one of the survivors from Tartaria. Matter of fact, Roy is the person who introduced me to the whole thing of Tartaria. I had no idea about this thing, and I've become very fascinated with it since, to the point where I made up that character Caesar, who is the last king of Tartaria. So yeah, so telepathy is useful. Like I was talking last night. Wow, I can't believe I didn't even turn the page yet, and I've been talking for this long. But I love the comments. This is what it's all about: communicating with people. But last night, I like I said, I was just in a bad mood this weekend. So I was like, I'm gonna go live, and a bunch of people popped on. I talked for almost 4 hours with comic fans. It was fun. And one of the things I talked about was I showed my buddy Mike's comic, Marshall Strong, and inside there's a character named Joseph Turner, who is the telepath for my game, and his superhero name was Nexus, because he was a Nexus point. You'd said your thoughts to him, and he would send so he was like a telepathic switchboard. The problem with him is the players started to rely on him too much, so I had to come up with a reason why they couldn't use him, and he started to get overwhelmed by his telepathy. Too many thoughts. He couldn't differentiate between his thoughts and other people's thoughts. And then because so many people were using him as a switchboard, he started to lose the ability to stop taking. So he was constantly having other people's thoughts, and it was overwhelming. So he started taking a synthetic drug to turn off his telepathy. And then he started becoming addicted to it because he liked the peace and quiet. And, so I had to take him out because people started relying on him too much. So he started to become like a tweaker, not a tweaker, but like a, his health started to go. He's losing weight. He his eyes were sunken, because he was addicted to this synthetic drug that turned off his telepathy. And then it started to be like when they needed him, there was like he had to make a willpower roll to see if he was able to use his telepathy, because he was always on this drug. So like, what if there was an emergency and his telepathy was shut down because he had to wait it out? Sorry, so there was always like a roll. Okay, and I let the players roll. Okay, well and I tell them like his willpower is this, or his will stat is this. So could he resist the drug? And then things. So it was always like, oh man, is Joe strung up? So Joseph Turner, he's a fat. I like the character a lot, but I can't use the name Nexus. So I'm trying to come up with another superhero name. Like I said, same names like Raven. That's a natural name, but Nexus, it's too well known as Mike Barron's character, so I can't use that name, especially that they're both psionically based. Xavier is how I pronounce it. It's my middle name. Oh, cool. Dale. I think the biggest problem with anthology is many writers can't tell a story in 40 to 10 pages. Yes. It's funny that you said that. I was just talking with Ron Mosicki last night, and I sent him a 13-page story, and Ron charges a bit more than most people. So I factored that into the story. So I'm like, how can I make this story the most economic? I want to tell the story the best, but I can't afford to be extravagant and make it a 30-page story. So economic factors forced me to streamline the story, and I think it worked out the best. it worked out the best. Sometimes constraints do produce good art. If you are just given the luxury of doing whatever you want, that sounds great, but there's no need to examine it. There's no self-reflection. There's no like, oh, do I need this? You just poop out whatever and give it. There you go. There's my genius. But like when you have to think about outside real world constraints, then you start, do I need this? Can I do without? Is there a better way? You know, so yes, Ron's talent, Ron's price forced me to try to make this story as best I could in as short a space as possible. Yes, happy to do that. Cool. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Roy. I'm looking up this book on eBay. It's so good looking. Yeah, issue 1 is I like issue 1 better. It's sexier, and as soon as I find it, I'll do another video. I'm so annoyed that I did an issue 2 before in issue 1. How about the Operator could collect call to? It's funny that you say that, because I have an evil character called the Operator, who pretty much is the evil version of Joseph Turner, but he uses technology to do the same thing. The Operator. All right, so let's go to the next page. So copyright Wally Wood, 1976. So, let me move my coffee cup because this is bigger than the average bear. So we got this page over here. Just check it out. I'm going to move the comic rather than the camera. Every time I move the camera, it loses focus. So look at this. I love this retro future. The bubble, space bubble out domes. It's just so cool. So Glom doesn't need no freaking spacesuit. He just needs to breathe. And then the suits, they talked about it in the first issue, that these suits are like protect them from environments and everything like that. That's why they're skin tight. So they're walking on the moon. Look at this panel. This is Wally Wood getting to draw whatever he wants, and what he wants to draw is that girl's butt right there. Look at that. That's like the focus of that panel. So it's spying a robotic mind, a machine just like the one we examine. What's it do? I have some idea of some sort of transmitter, everything that goes on. And I love this, the telepathic. So it's out of focus. Stop camera, extra camera, add camera. Okay, that's a little better. Yeah, and they're watching robots mine the moon. Suddenly, Shag stiffens, hair bristling, his acute senses detecting an alien. That's one of them. Why? I can't read it. Never mind that. Now, Glob, get him. So he dies without knowing what hit him. So Glob just comes in and smashes his dome. He can't breathe. A gadget on his head. I think I'll put it on. I love that. So they have this little ear piece with the little disc that adheres to the brain. Mister, I can't read it. Take it off. She can't read me either. It's screening her mind. So they develop. It's a thought shield. This may come in handy. I'll take it along. Don't tell me where we go. We're going. There's 3 of us. We're going into that machine. The 3 of us are going to invade the planet of the aliens, if I'm right. And this is a matter transmitter. So here they are. What's happening? Don't be afraid. It's breaking us down into subatomic energy and broadcasting us across space like a radio signal to the receiver of their planet. Will reverse the process, I hope. So here we got that philosophical debate over here. They're being broken down into subatomic energy and then beamed across the planet. And to me, this, I watch Star Trek. There's that philosophical debate. Were they killed every time they used the transporter? I already spoke about this, and a couple of people don't like my but yes, Kirk and all those guys they were killed and rebuilt. Now, that's no big deal because they're exactly the same with the same memories, same body, and everything like that. Unless you believe in the soul. Now, if you do believe in a soul, then does the transporter transport your soul too? Or, so for me, drama-wise, and in my role-playing game, it was a big point that when your body is broken down, through like transporter technology, broken down and beamed, you die. You lose your soul. Boom. And now and because I hate the energy drain in D&D, I just think it's the most unfair tactic in the world. Like, if Roy knows what I'm talking about, like a vampire bites you, you lose 2 levels, or wraith or whatever, some undead, they can energy drain you. I just think that is the most unfair. More importantly, it's unfun. You could just see the light of the player's eyes go out whenever you do energy drain. So what I do is it drains experience points. So you lose your experience points, and to me, the experience points is your soul. So if you have a 10,000 experience points, your soul, that's your soul. That's the strength of your soul, and I use that for various saves and whatever. But you never lose your levels. It's just not fun. So like if a player is 10th level, and I'm going to make up numbers. So you're 10th level and you have 100,000 experience points. You lose experience. So if instead of level drain, you could get attacked, you lose 10,000 experience points. So now you're at 90,000 experience points, but you don't lose your level. You just need to reclaim what you lost and then exceed it to get to the next level. It really increases the drama without reducing the fun. So back to this. So 10th level patriarch gets beamed across the world. He loses his soul and he's rebuilt with his memories because the memories are ingrained in the brain patterns and blah, 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 blah. Now he's a guy with no experience points. It's going to take him that much longer to progress to 11th level because he's got to recoup his loss and then progress. But the dangerous part is the soul is your defense against spiritual attacks, like demons and evil fallen angels and things like that. So, you know what I mean? So there was in my world in the past, 10,000 years ago, I forget the name that I made up for, but there was a race of benevolent aliens that they were like the Watchers. They were gifting and helping. They were good guys going around their portion of the galaxy and increasing the level of other civilizations. The problem was they were beaming around, and eventually these demonic beings that are everywhere started latching onto them because they weren't able. So now these demons, so a party of 3 beams down, we have no souls, but we have all our levels and everything like that. Everything except we are totally vulnerable to psychic defense, psychic attack, but spiritual attack more properly. And then 2 of them get possessed by a demon that the other guy is just still a good guy. It's like, what's going on? So they kill him or whatever. And next thing you know, they took over this entire empire, and they were the most advanced. They beamed. They didn't care. Well, actually, they did care because that would kill them. So they just became like the scourge of the galaxy, and other forces, they united and formed another empire to destroy them and like utterly destroy them, like Carthage. So this is all within my world. And then that empire that arose to fight them 10,000 years later, they're now the bad guys. You know what I mean? That's what happens. They arose as a need of self-defense. There was no more enemies to fight, but their whole cult, like this war raged 1,000 years, and now they can't stop this. So they're this huge Roman Empire that was formed by military. They can't turn it off. And that's happening in the background of Heroic Tales, for those of you who don't know. And other races developed space bending. So literally they teleport through space bending. So you just walk. Your body isn't demolecularized. So races with that telepathy, that transport technology, are doing better than the races that break down and are killed. How is that for super nerd lore dump while we're on page 3. So let's check out the comments. Zach Tan says, how 3 to 4 anthology stories about people pretending to be other races because people are prejudiced. Oh, yeah. On Kickstarter, there's a plethora of anthologies of I'm a lesbian and I can't find a bicycle. That panel focus. Greetings from Raleigh, North Carolina. And I always hear that in my head in James Brown voice. Omnipro says, finally saw James Gunn Superman on stream. Must say that Gunn knows what he's doing. The Mr. Terrific fight scene was amazing. Yeah, that for whatever reason, that's a polarizing movie. People are disappointed that I like it. That is a bubblegum popcorn Superman movie, whereas the Donner film is to me cinema. There's a difference. I would have to transmit the soul in order for it to work properly. Bingo. Even if you think the mind is just an emergent property of matter, how would you know if it's just conscious when you teleport? Exactly. Thank you for summing up better than how I can explain it. I like the idea that your cells are packed into photons and transform back, so you will have the same cells when you oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So okay. I'll buy that. I will buy that. You know what, Dale? That just solved the fundamental problem that I always had with Star Trek transporters. Why can't they rebuild you better looking or younger? You know what I mean? Like later on in the Next Generation, they started doing tricks with the teleporter that just, I was like, okay, now we're because and even Roddenberry said he didn't want the transporter, that it created too many problems, but they did it for budget reasons. Like it was cheaper to have them stand there and then do that little superimposed beaming thing than to show ships landing and stuff like that. So they did it against. I mean, Gene Roddenberry okayed it, but he didn't want it. But he recognized the necessity of a budget. But I always thought, if I could get beamed, and you're just rebuilding me out of whatever matter, build me a better body, make me younger. Why does Picard have to have a pacemaker? Just beam him a perfect heart. Now, I mean, and even though they said they have your pattern stored and stuff like that, so okay, Picard, your heart is bad. We're gonna look at this, Phil Moskowitz. We have his pattern, and he has a perfectly healthy heart. So we're gonna edit out that bit of code and patch you in a perfectly healthy heart. Beep. There you go, Picard. Am I the only one thinking about stuff like this? I mean, is there a reason? But this explains that. It is literally one pattern that can't be edited without ruining everything, because it is literally, E equals MC squared. So the matter is transformed into energy, passed, and then that sequence has to be used. So this helps me out a lot. Thank you for that comment. That's a good comment. Remember that one time Kirk split into people, one kind of aggressive? Yeah. Where'd that extra matter come from? So that disproves this. This proves that the transporter literally is the God machine. And the same thing with Riker, right? Riker. And then the holodeck created an intelligent life form in Moriarty. Like whether you believe in the soul or not, that's a whole nother matter, but it created an independent life form. So the transporter and the holodeck technology is just, I don't know, it's cool, but they don't think out the consequences. Once you take the cat out of the worms, you can't put the worms back into the cat. So let's check out this page. So here they are, emerging from another machine, just walking on this cool sci-fi planet. Strange ships attacking. That's not a plane, it's a robot. Now, how cool is that? That this is a drone, right? It's a robot flying attack weapon. It's a drone. 1976. I love that. Holy moly, it killed one of its own people. That explains the mind shield. There's an internal power struggle going on. This may be a big break for us. Now let's get out of sight. Now, every panel, this guy got killed. There's a civil war going on. A lot of awkward dialogue, Hold it. I sense one of them very nearby. Right there on the other side of this wall. Get him, Glom. Try not to kill him. I want to examine one of them. Glom, get. Look at that panel. Now, a little bit of inconsistency here. Look at that. Is Glom's hand really that big? So when they show him, he's normal sized. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I love this panel over here. What's the focus there? Zaktan. I was going to make a real rude joke. Take off his thought screen. Good. Now while he's unconscious, I can pick his brain. Good. Now I know what he knows. He's not very important, but he's a technician. I have a good picture of the city, the whole planet, everything. It's really weird how her boobs... So I guess when she's using her telepathy, her boobs contract. And a vague picture of something incredible called Unit 1. What is it, Mr. A man machine? I don't know. All they seem to know is that they ask questions. They ask it questions, it answers. Info dump. This whole page is info dump. You know what I mean? This could have been expanded into like a whole chapter of landing there, finding out that there's a civil war. Which side is the good side? Which side's the bad side? There's a computerized machine that answers all their questions. How Star Trek. So much good stuff. I'm not going to say names because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I read somebody's script. They were like, hey, and I was honored that they thought one mediocre comic and I'm the guy they want to check out their script. So thank you for that. That was a nice compliment. And I read this script and I was like, you rush over so much meat to get to the, you're in such a hurry to get to the ending that you skip over all this. He's doing the opposite of deconstruction. Deconstruction is when you take a a comic book that should be in one issue and you turn it into 6 issues. That is a lot of mainstream comics are doing that. A lot of Netflix shows are doing that. There's always like 2 or 3 episodes that are just fluff, that don't have anything to do with the main story. But this particular writer was just doing this. Look at all of this detail that could be fleshed out and turned into I don't even want to tell details because then you'll figure. But again, and I think I hurt that guy's feelings, to the point where the rewrite is a completely new story. But who am I to correct Wally Wood? But this is this because time constraints, money constraints? You know what I mean? Is it just he didn't think it was interesting? But I love this landing in the middle of a civil war. That could have been this whole issue, is finding out that there's a civil war. But instead, one guy gets killed. Oh, civil war, and then 2 panels later, we find out that everything is controlled by this artificial intelligence. That's a whole issue. That's the way I would tell the story. But who the hell am I? The first teleporters could only teleport things with organic exterior, so the first teleported machines look suspiciously like attractive people in the buff. Oh yeah, that was a Terminator. That was just an excuse to have Arnold Schwarzenegger. Stepping into someone else's civil war is a messy affair. You got that? So space alien Grok. Oh, there you go. As much as we chaff at the 90-minute runtime, it does force at least some editing. Yes. Okay, let's go to the next page. Look at this. If I firmly believe that this line is added to her shoulder just so people don't think she's naked. You know what I mean? About the plot to seize control of unit and overthrow the president. So again, we're continuing with the telling us, not showing us. So the Civil War, last page, we learned that there was a civil war. We learned that there is an alien. I'm just going to say Grok. Grok controls this entire civilization, and one side wants to overthrow Grok, and one side does not want to overthrow Grok. That's a lot of information for one page. Roy, if you're still here, what do you think about this? So Mr. says, we're going to split up, Shag. You enter the broken wall and see if you can find something through the air conditioning. So Shag is leaving, the smallest monkey boy of the group, and Hot Chick and the Brute are going to go. They split the party. That's never good. Glom, the main power control, is over here. What are you going to do? I have my own plan. I'll tell you about it as we go. So all three of them go in different directions. Good luck. So the three desperate, determined misfits, outnumbered several million to one, proceed with their attack on a planet, each in a characteristic fashion. So, hey, that one spotted me. He must not be using a thought shield. So everybody has telepathy. And if you have a thought shield, you can't use your own telepathy, and you can't be scanned by telepathy. So, so now immediately they split the party. Immediately he's in trouble. She's being chased by gropey men. What is the first thing? More of them ahead. I'm going to be captured. The aliens drop their shields. Now we have her. What do we do? Take her to Unit 1. They're already ripping her clothes off. Shouldn't have split the party. Roy, Jimmy, you guys are D&D veterans. What do you think about that? Take her to Unit 1. Soon she's in the presence of a mental power beyond belief. The aliens, they're all blanked out like zombies. So that we may have privacy, my child. What? Are you Unit 1? I am, and you made this meeting happen, didn't you? Look at her clothes are all ripped. Yes, I didn't realize, but I planted the idea of bringing me here in their minds. But what's going on? You're a computer. No, I'm not a machine. I am. That is, I was. I am a man. Now I'm neither man nor machine or a ghost. You wish to see me? Come, prepare yourself. So look at this. Opened up. I just, I got criticism about this story. It's info dump. It's a lot of telling, not showing, but the storytelling is excellent. Yeah, I wasn't prepared. I was ready to do issue number 1, but this one is the storytelling is excellent. A million times. If you're sick of hearing it, I'm sorry, but the storytelling is the ability to convey the information just from the art. So I'm barely reading this, and I got the story down. Why? Because each panel is in a perfect sequence. It's a logical sequence. It's filling me into all the detail. Glorious. The art is outstanding. Just look at these panels. They're just great. The problem is the dialogue. The story is fine, but the problem is like awkward dialogue, too much telling, not enough showing. But I don't know the restraints. So here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me, but I can't look at you. It's all right, my child. I'm used to it. My body died 10,000 years ago, but my mind lives on, sustained by this machine and growing all the time. Larger and more powerful, and linked to all the powerful computers on this planet. And yet I am a slave. So here is Unit 1. A little bit of a twist. When she finds out about Unit 1, a computer that rules the planet, that's the bad guy. The twist is he created the Civil War to free himself from basically this torture, this bondage. And what it was a perfect brain. He was a leader. I don't know if he was a good guy in the past or a bad guy in the past. That's not really told. His brain was put into this computer to rule everybody. And then the computer just adds more onto the brain as it needs more processing information. And it's become a prisoner of its own device. Is that the correct word? But look at that. Just look at this panel. Glorious. A slave? Yes, some of these electrodes are attached to the pain and pleasure centers. I stopped trying to resist thousands of years ago. So we exist, parasites in each other. I solve their problems and they feed and sustain me. But I need help. So he's being tortured. If he doesn't do what the people the people want things. And if they're not given what they want, he's tortured. So he has to come up with a solution to solve what the people want. It's pretty creepy and scary and brilliant. I believe you, but somehow, so he goes, I'm not. I can't believe that they do this. I'm not. My race was old when these white ones were living in caves. We were very civilized. I've forgotten how to fight, so we were easy prey. I was a coward. I chose to live. So he was a race that existed before this. You must destroy these interstellar pirates. So we don't even know. Maybe these people came to this world or whatever. Look at her with her shirt ripped, this glorious back view. You know what I mean? This line over here to remind you that she isn't naked. The subtle change in the color. I want to die. So this whole big civil war is just a plea, a scheme, a mechanization for this big gigantic brain to be killed. It's a great story. I love it. Make a great movie. Omnipro. That's interesting. I think that some creatures are soul-ish, being self-aware but lacking the ability to appreciate abstract ideas like beauty. Dogs, cats, deers, goats. Yeah. Look at the brain. I'm just fascinated by the brain. Like reptiles have the brain stem, and they say that that's the brain of the id. So like things that are almost instinctual, like hunger, anger, reproduction. These are all things that like are just base instincts, and then there's the ego, which is the cortex, I think, and that is like a mammalian feature. So like chimps, dogs, so they have this ability. I do believe cats and dogs, obviously dolphins and apes have the ability to think, and I do think they have emotions. If you have a pet, you understand what I'm talking about. Animals have emotions. Now, can they do abstract thought? I do think, like you train a dog, so that means that the dog does understand that like if you wouldn't be able to train a dog, and some people even can train a cat, and you do train a cat, like they know when it's feeding time and things like that. But they come to, you train them and they get used to this without external immediate probes. So that means they are thinking. And then there's another part of the brain. I forget what it's called, but that's the super ego. And I think that is where if you believe in souls and like and true consciousness, that where it is. And as far as I know, like I think maybe some chimps and humans have that part. I don't know. I don't know. But when I start talking about that, I remember a couple of people just like tune out. But I'm kind of fascinated by that, by like the id, ego, super ego. I have a villain called Id, and Id is just a reptilian rage monster. He's like a reptile Hulk. You see, Wood uses a lot of panels. He's not trying to stretch the story out to several issues. Yeah, I think yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I love Marcus thinks like an artist. I'm thinking like a writer, but you're absolutely right, Marcus. He's trying to get as much in and as short as page counts as possible. I wonder if this is probably an economic constraint. Never split the party. Dangerous and also slows down the adventures. I'm just saying. Yeah, that's like a trope in D&D. For those of you who don't never play role playing games, that's just like a common expression. Never split the party. Now, the reason why we never split the party is we tell everybody it's safety in numbers, but what it really is, it's boring, because now the dungeon master has to focus on Jimmy, and now Roy's over here bored, and then I focus on Roy, and Jimmy is over here bored, and Scott's ready to leave, and now I finally get to Scott 2 hours later, and Jimmy and Roy start looking at their phones, and they, you know what I mean? That's why you never split the party in real life, but we make it sound like, oh, it's safety in numbers, and there is safety in numbers too. Let's turn the page. There follows a period of silent but intensive training. Mystra feels the latent powers blooming in her mind. Yes, I could do before. What I could do before was nothing. What I could do before was as nothing. So, yes, you are now ready, my child. The time has come. I will stay in contact and help you if you need me. So, this big brain gave her a power up. By the way, Unit 1, did you initiate this revolt? Yes, but no time for questions. Strike now. That is the control room for the city. Let me be in your mind. So we got these eyeballs over here. That's like nice shorthand for showing that Shag is telepathically in contact with Mystra. It would take too long to tell you, so I will try this. Mind fusion. Good. If all the power is off also. So she just instantly info dumps this information into Shag. He starts doing what is needed to do. Freaking updates popping up. Telephone calls, updates. So he's doing what needs to be done. My coffee's empty, so I always have a backup caffeine source. Good. All the power is off. Also communications. Get back to the transmitter. You should make it, as you can see, in the dark, and they can't. That's right. Shag can see in the dark. That's one of his non-mental powers. Oh. I just hit something. Okay. I just got scared that I turned off the stream. I'm trying because all these pop-ups are coming up that I need to update. And I clicked them and the screen went wackadoodle. That's it. It will overload and blow up in an hour. So, she's mentally communicating with what's his name? Glomb. So the dumb brute is able to do it because she's basically using him like a puppet. And now, so he went to the communication. He shut down all communications. He's in the override room, and she's with the brain. So splitting the party worked. And now he's just smashing everything. And the massive body smashes through the walls, makes like a juggernaut, leaving everything in his wake. So he's just like, I got it. He's only got a half hour. So he's just straight line. Death stalks ahead as Mr. takes over minds, causing alien causing alien after alien to kill his friends. So she's just walking. As she's walking, guards come up to her with guns, and she's like, kill him. So as she's walking, you see what I mean? Where mind control is a slippery slope to evil. You know what I mean? Like she's mind controlling these aliens. Couldn't she just tell them, drop your weapons? Could go to sleep, lay down. No, she's kill him. So as she's walking, this guy's shooting that guy. I mean, did she tell them to shoot themselves as they leave? That's mind control for you. It's just too tempting. It's just too easy. Like I told you, whenever we play the Village Adventures, we randomly. A lot of times, I'll let you pick your powers if you have a cool concept, and rather than I just want to be powerful, I'll let you pick your powers if it's a cool concept and everything like that, and you're not trying to break the game. You're not trying to be a munchkin. That if you're trying to be a munchkin, no. But when you randomly roll powers and you roll mind control, people are like, oh, cool, mind control, and then they start thinking after a while. That's usually the power that you could drop a power to boost another power in character creation. That's usually one of the power. If the players all come to the same conclusion, it's I could just mind control the enemy, then it's not going to be a fun game, So it's not a good power, I think, for the main character to have. And I feel it led to evil. Farewell, rest in peace. Thank you, my child. You may go. So now they step out on Earth, just in time to witness the end of a planet. So I feel a little sick. Don't waste your sympathy on them, Shag. They ravished and murdered 1,000 worlds. So I love this. They teleport all the way from Earth, and from Earth they see this planet blow up. It's dramatic. The rule of cool, but that stretches credibility. And again, Wally, look at the figure over there. But Yuta One, the most powerful, most tragic being in the history of the universe. He was not quite innocent either. His cooperation made their crimes possible, but now he's gone. I feel somehow he's alive in me, as he's become part of all of us. He gave her cleavage. And I love this. They put the line over here so she's not standing. Now you will rest. There will be a parade honoring you, and you say, no, we will not be put on public display like a bunch of freaks. Give the president a report and tell him we will be available if needed. Then they go to the moon. We must find a suitable bait of operation, possibly one of the asteroids. Funny, we must be the only beings ever to be exiled after winning in a war. So they took the flying saucer and they're off to form their own little misfit base. So I'm the pro. How would a thought shield work? Does it emanate a frequency that prevents thought projection? Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's as good as explanation as anything. Driving, be safe. I can't believe I just said that. I hate when people say be safe. Oh, thank you. I never thought of that. I was going to be a reckless driver until you said be safe. I can't believe I just said that. Is that ambigal or something like that? Yeah, the part of the brain. I don't know. When I was talking about the part that hunt, I don't know what it's called. I got to look it up. Why did Wallywood have to die? I wanted to meet him. Yeah. Marcus, how did he die? What was the cause of death of Wallywood? I know he was like an alcoholic that caused problems, like with his health. Heroic Tales. Yes, Heroic Tales is still available on Fun My Comic in demand for the time being. Or until I'm going to be printing up the comics soon. He died by suicide. I did not know that. Wow. I did not know he died by suicide. Oh my God. Suicide is, you don't need to say how tragic suicide is. Oh my God. I didn't know that. I did not know that. He killed himself. Why did I not know that? I just assumed it was alcohol health related. Oh my God. That doesn't help my bad mood. All right. So now that's the end of this story. We're right on schedule. Wits End, 10th anniversary issue of the first and most celebrated fanzine produced by the professionals. So Wits End was a strange comic. It was a fanzine, but everybody who contributed to it were professional comic guys. So does that not make it a fanzine? I don't know. But I got to go. It's upstairs. I got a hardcover collected of all the Wits End. I think Steve Ditko started it. I really got to check it out. I have no idea what's even in it. I have this, and I've had it now for years. I still haven't cracked it open. I think it's still in the shrink wrap. So now we have The Black Angel, Mike Vosburg. So we got Mike Vosburg, 1976, The Black Angel. And this story, I have no recollection. So let's hope the storytelling is good. I will say, later on, I gotta stop the camera and start it again. I knocked out the focus. Stop extra camera, and add extra camera settings. Okay, I just want to see if there's if there was a way that I could just see if I could get it to like refocus. It used to just refocus on its own. But Mike Vosburg, later on, you could see that he was a fan of John Byrne. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just looking at the art. But when I look at this, this is definitely John Byrne inspired artwork. That's all number 10. The next assignment is for Eve only. Now, where did I put that file? I don't dig this, Eve. We've been a team for the past 2 years, and I don't like them busting us up. Let's see what they want first, okay? You may leave us, number 10. As if needed, as for you, Angel, we've got a new assignment that calls for someone of your abilities. I'm all ears. Special Ambassador Bogle is vacationing in the Mediterranean. We have reason to believe an attempt will be made on his life. Exactly when and how we don't know, but we feel it's a job for the Black Angel. So plot and art by Mike Vosburg, script Roger Stern, lettering Bruce D, editing Bob Layton. Wherever you do, be careful. We have already lost a good couple of agents in that area. We have to presume that they were captured or killed. Their last transmissions were strangely garbled. The only words that we can make out were, "Beware the sirens." Make of that as you will. Now, we've already arranged to cover identity. You'll be flown into the nearest port and join the ship's party. So we got a party in a diplomat in the Mediterranean in a yacht and sirens. So this sounds like sexy chicks, just sexy chicks. Look at her over here in the mini skirt. Look at over here with her luscious hair. What was the name of that TV show that Joss Whedon with Jessica Alba? Was that Dark Angel or was that Black Angel? He had severe depression because of failing eyesight, diabetes, and alcoholism. He was 54 years old. Comics killed him. Yeah. Comics will kill you, kid. Wit's End was published by Wood. Okay, did I say Ditko? So it was Wally Wood. So just check that out. Check it. At the ambassador's secretary. So now, sorry, I just got caught off guard. It's been a long time since I read this. So you're going undercover as the ambassador's secretary and ... helpmate. So great, just great. 6 days at sea, and all I have to show for it is a tan. Somebody's information that must have been off. Why would anybody want Bogle anyway? He's not involved in any important decisions. His appointment was more political than anything. So there she is. She's just lounging out in the yacht in the Mediterranean as it's Ambassador Bogle's secretary and helpmate. I don't know why that struck me so funny. So yes, I would tell me that's not a John Byrne paddle. Maybe it's Neil Adams paddle, but Neil Adams was, when I was a kid, I didn't know who Neil Adams was until I was literally an adult. And from what I've been seeing, his abilities are limited to telling off-color jokes and trying to get friendly with yours truly. Fat chance of that. If I could just make it through the next 3 days. So I love that. She goes into a room. The first thing she does is throw her bikini top off. Why not? You're alone in your room. Take your bikini top off. I just hope to God that putting up with Bogle pays off and the culprits behind what that sound, it's like a plaintive wall or a siren's cry. So what's going on? Of course, it has to happen while she's topless, throws on a robe, and we got sexy sirens out here. Woo! But even as Eve hurries to the gangway above the decks, the worst fears are coming true. Homer's Odyssey came true. Sirens have entranced all the men aboard, luring them onto what? Welcome to the island of the sirens. Our mistress demands an audience. Yes, of course. I'd love to meet her. Look at that face. That face, that hairstyle, those glasses, that's all like shorthand for like gropey man, Gropey 46-year-old man. Boom. Boom. Throw that face in there. So now we know why her male partner couldn't be there, which begs the question, the government must know about the sirens. They knew about this. You know what I mean? Why didn't they give Eve all the information? Why? Storytelling. Looks like more than a kidnapping. I better break out of this outfit. I better break out my new outfit and follow him. So she changed her outfit. Now, to me, Wally Wood likes drawing sexy chicks, big boobs, nice butts, and everything like that. They made a point of her taking off her top, a little more cleavage than necessary. And again, I'm all for like tasteful female forms. Like outright porn is. If you want to make outright porn, that's fine, but not in this particular. But right here, they really missed an opportunity to have some cheesecake. There's nothing wrong with cheesecake. Like, I better break out my new outfit. She should have been saying that while like behind one of those screens, and you could see her silhouette. You know what I mean? Like this is just a missed opportunity right here. And she's watching. Oh, she's still in the bathroom, so maybe oh no, they don't have it. Okay, so this would have been. So she's watching. Looks like a dead mother. We got the sexy woman over here. Look at that face. And look at that panel. Come to me, walk into my radiance, and know your ultimate destiny. And as Eve watches from her place of concealment, the first sailor strides forward, seemingly shrinking in size until he's drawn forward into the gem and light. Boom! So she just captures you into her gem. And that means it's time for stealth is over. Heads up, darlings. You take on the Navy, you'll also take on the Black Angel. So, they assigned her because she's a woman and women are immune to the wiles of the sirens. A woman, she could spoil everything. Stop her sisters. Stop the Ibon Trest witch, Alpha Beta, quickly. We must not let her pass. She must not break the mistress concentration. Oh, I could break more than that, girls. And here we got some fighting. Just imagine if Wally Wood drew this, Not that there's anything wrong with Mike Vosberg, but, there's only one Wally Wood. Look, this guy over here, she's coming over. This is a little awkward. And, one by one, people are going into the ambassador is about to go. So what does she do? It's too late to stop the ambassador. The Black Angel helps herself, so she jumps into the beam. Struggling to keep her wits about her, the Angel of Darkness boldly follows the beam, plunging into the very heart of the jewel. Oh, whither thou goest, or whether it be the angel's field to tread. So now she's in the dimension in the within the gem, and it turns into Ditko's Doctor Strange over here. Look at this. This is literally like Nightmare, the riding the shadow horse from Doctor Strange, the first appearance of Doctor Strange. Excellent. 3 more charges for the Dark Rider. Welcome, gentlemen. I trust you'll be more cooperative than your predecessors. As a representative of the United States government, it matters not who you are, as long as you're happy enough to form my doppelgangers to invade your world. Now, hold it right there, Mr. Sister. In case you haven't noticed, I'm no gentleman. So, she uses the sirens to entrance men. They go pop into the gem, and then this what is she called? The Dark Rider creates doppelgangers, sends them back out into the earth to enslave the world, but has no power over women. Why? Because women aren't in charge of the world back in 1976. It's men. You know what I mean? They didn't change the frequencies to entrance women. Who needs women? You know what I mean? Let the men really run everything. It's the patriarchy after all. So that's why they sent her. No comment, so I'll just keep going. Look at this awkward. They're in another dimension, the Ditko dimension, and this is no way to treat a lady. So she's firing mystic bolts. You defy the Dark Riders to die. 2 of your people found that out the hard way. So she's shooting. I really, really dig this. I like this awkward panel over here. When I say awkward, I just talk like this trapezoidal shape. But I really like this horse is all in shadow. She's all in black with the white highlights, and she's got this cone mask helmet headpiece kind of thing. It's just really creepy, and she's firing these blasts. It's just I really dig that. Now it's just a fight. I'm glad Ordnance installed my improved blacklight beam in my gloves. It's not much handier. Now we'll see, gentlemen. We'll see if we can find our way home. Employing the paramagnetic properties of her beam, Black Angel binds together her drifting charges. So she's got magnetic powers. She originally had an external device. Now it's incorporated into her costume. And wherever she goes, the men are now following her like magnetic, slipstream. For once in your life, Bogle, get move on. I don't know how long I could hold our friends off. Don't worry, I'm moving. And it's funny, for every panel that I really like this panel I like, this panel just seems to be something off. Did I lose everybody? When I hit somebody, when I hit this button and everything went wonky, people stopped commenting. So is just somebody comment in the chat to let me know that you're still here. Haven't seen a comment in a while. And here she is blasting her magnetic beams versus him. And they jump out of the ensorcelled woman's skull, only to find a very confused group of sirens. I'm starting to think that maybe in the dark as they were. We were just a Smith College rugby team. We were on a Mediterranean cruise when we decided to do a little exploring, and we wound up here. So it's just hot college chicks. I think you found this trinket in the cave, right? Yeah, it was complete except for large jewel. A woman aboard the cruise ship had given it to us. Fits perfectly. I'm afraid I don't remember. Do you remember what she looked like? What matters is that this helmet will never help anybody, will never torment anybody again. She smashes the helmet, and for what little matters, I suggest we head for the nearest port in the Mediterranean. So there you go. That's the end. So, in summary, they get reports that females are capturing important people. So they dismiss the male agent. They send a girl. They're immune to this. She goes to the Ditko dimension, beats the Dark Rider, who I just love this design. That is just awesome. And then finds out that the sexy siren chicks are just a college rugby team. Just a college rugby team. So fit 19 to 22-year-old chicks luring men to the doom. That would work. And story's over. Not the greatest story. Not the greatest story. Okay, Dale A says comment. Marcus says hi. Okay, we had so many comments and then it stopped. Check out this. Cadaver, the Resurrected. Who is this? This is, I don't know who this is. At first glance, I was going to say this was Walt Simonson. Does anybody recognize this signature, Marcus? Oh, check that out. This Cadaver, the Resurrected. That is so freaking cool. Same artist over here. Look at this. Anybody recognize it? I mean, this looks like John Byrne. And that looks like a John. Does it say? Nope. Does it say in the back? Nope. But this looks like John Byrne. Look at that. Tell me that's not John Byrne artwork. Cannon. Wally Wood. So this is drawn by Steve Ditko, scripted inking by Wally Wood. So this is Wally Wood, Steve Ditko. And this, I really wanted to show this story in issue number 1. It is just so like over the top, ridiculously violent. A small, sleepy South American port. Hotel Nacional. Si, senor. Is that the one? Si, I am sure. Later that night. What? Help. Senior, help me. So, what guy is not going to help sexy chicken and sexy lingerie being attacked by Popeye the Sailor over here? Cannon just smashes out. It is Byrne. Thank you. And look, he just comes out in his skivvies with his gun in hand. And what was I going to say? I was going to say something. Yeah. How good is this Steve Ditko layouts in Wally Wood Inc.? It's just so good. It's just so good. And you could see that the Ditko poses. Get him now. Boom. He's just beating the crap out of him. A knife. What? It's a trap. Must get the gun. An arrow right in the arm. We see some legs, some thighs. He reaches for his gun with his left hand. He lunges forward and boom. A whip wraps around his ankles. Welcome, Cannon. Allow me to introduce the specialist. Gunner and Lash, Blade and Archer, each the deadliest killer in the world with his chosen weapon. So, little twister-rooney. The hot chick is the leader. Look at that tiny, impossible waist. So we got Gunner, Lash, Blade, and Archer. Just generic henchmen. Great, that works. They're like the Enforcers. Is that the Spider-Man group? Fancy Dan, Man Mountain, Marco. I love when the henchmen's names are also their function. But how did you? No time for questions. We must take you to the leader. Get ready. And while I'm, I'm gonna pose in my sexy lingerie while I'm in this. Now, I'm so disappointed because the first issue just had a lot more character of Cannon. Like he's a jerk. He's like a scary jerk. The car takes him to a small airplane. Der Schnosh Snell Wall. Allow me to introduce her Cannon. I'm Erica Messier, Mr. of the Inter. Oh, she's a freaking Nazi. Oh, should have known it. She's white, blonde. That means Nazi, right? If we learned anything from Sydney Sweeney's Jean commercial, it's that if you're white and blonde, you're a Nazi. It's worse than that. The whole country's been taken over by Nazis. So South American country's been taken over by Nazis. Hey, jet fighters with Nazi markings. Oh, no. And here we are in the Führer's retreat in the real seat of the government. Very few men have seen this place and lived. It's like a Bavarian castle in the middle of the jungle. With little, parapets and, look at iron crosses and murder. Oh, we got Edward Drawing Aces live on. Hey, how you doing, Edward? How's everything? How's your Kickstarter going? Cool. Good to see you. Thank you for popping in. So let's turn the page. It's an armed camp. Something big is up. Good observation skills. When you went to a castle and there's jet fighters and SWAT stickers all over the place, maybe, just maybe, a logical conclusion is that something big. Am I crazy, or are they? In the great hall of the castle. Hail, mein Führer. We have an American agent in custody. Good work, Fräulein. Interrogate him and report directly to me. Look. What good is being a Nazi if you don't have a hot blonde in a skin-tight outfit? You know what I mean? There's a reason why people joined, and it's hot blondes in skin-tight outfits. Look at this. It might as well be topless over here. A medieval torture chamber. And he's walking around in his underwear. So I don't want to hear any sexism. This guy's literally walking around in his Fruit of the Looms. Welcome to the guest room, Cannon. He is no human. No man could hold out for so long. Keep it up. If he faints, revive him. So I love this. She's just smoking a cigarette, just watching him be tortured. Tell me this girl isn't messed up. She, I'm going to lounge in my lounge. She didn't have to dress up in lingerie. You know what I mean? She didn't have to. She wanted to. And now she's just watching a guy in his underwear getting tortured, smoking a cigarette. Freud could interpret this. You don't need to be Freud to interpret what's wrong with her. You have convinced me that crude physical means will not work. Cannon, let us see if you could resist the drugs. No, not the drugs. No comments. I'll just keep going. For a long time, there seems to be no effect. And what is your mission? I'm looking for Willy von Blau, the rocket expert. But he's dead. Everybody knows that. I was not convinced by the accident. It was just too neat. His body was found. A body was found. It was burned beyond recognition, much more than the explosion seemed to warrant. Now look at it. But he could resist the physical torture, but the medicinal torture, that's a hold up. So I took up the case, and a series of clues led me here, and I know he is right. He's alive, and you have him. And that is all you could get out of him. There must be some sort of block against all drugs, hypnotism, or torture. I don't know what to do about him, Erica. It will be your job to study him. My pleasure. She's just blowing smoke in his face. I don't know. I've never seen such an effective social engineering as smoking. Now, when I was born, everybody smoked. Up in the 70s and the 80s, everybody smoked. It was everywhere. It was on TV. It was in commercials. Everybody smoked. There was smoking lounges in high schools. Everybody smoked. And I think the insurance companies just got tired of paying out all of these premiums for a voluntary action. You don't, smoking is a choice. We could eliminate smoking. And I firmly believe it was all the insurance companies. They lobbied the government. The government did all of these pressures, started a campaign. And within 2 years, nobody smoked. When was the last time you see anybody smoking? So now when I see somebody smoking in a comic, it really stops. And I keep talking about how when I went to go see Die Hard. They were at a party and people were smoking, and I was like, wow, like it stopped the movie cold. Wow, people used to smoke, and now people don't smoke anymore. I got 50 people watching. How many people comment if you smoke? You know, I still smoke cigarettes. Now I see people vaping, and it just put a dildo in your mouth if you're gonna vape. Is there any possibility of winning him over? Such a man would be a great asset to the new order. But Mein Führer, I think he's too dangerous. He must be killed. Look at that face. What, you dare? Out of my sight, insolent pig. General, call a staff meeting. I wish to plan our attack. Look at that face. That is just evil. That's just like somebody's scrotum got affected by gamma radiation and became that guy. I am the scrotum. I am Dr. Scrotum, leader of the Fourth Reich. And I will have Testicles, my champion. No, I'm just talking nonsense. And look at that. So now the honey trap is being laid. She's just like leaning on the wall, and there would be a high position for you in the Fourth Reich. Can she be serious? By God, she is. They're all insane, all of them. Let me see. I must play this exactly right. I mustn't agree too soon. Look, honey, I got a good job for the strongest nation on earth. What could you offer other than that? I like that they gave him pants. What could she offer him that's better than what he's got now? Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Marcus put Drawing Aces comic group. Hey, we were just talking about anthologies. There you go. Isn't that anthology Kickstarter projects? Drawing Aces anthology. Matthew's uncle. So that's how rare smoking is. That's not even an immediate family. He has to go to his uncle. Don't smoke because my grandma. Yeah, I don't smoke because I see what it did to my. I'm the most anti-smoking person in the world. But I still don't like when the government tells everybody that they can't do it. But I firmly believe it was the insurance companies. Why would the government all of a sudden care whether or not you smoked? The insurance companies were tired of paying out all these premiums and hospital. How much money? How much money did all the insurance companies save by not paying for government for smoking related health problems? Night Slayers, Supernatural Mystery on Kickstarter right now. That's this guy's comic. Check it out. He was on my channel last night. We were talking for a while. Oh, that's what she has to offer. Look at the focus over here. Like, Wally would ink this, so why didn't he ink that butt? He inked the other butt. So why didn't he ink that? It looks like a potato. After the next war, there will be no U.S. and the Reich will rule over us, and you will be the leader. And you can have me. Please say yes. I don't want you to die. You make it very hard to refuse. I love this. You make it very hard to refuse. Yes, you may tell your Führer I'm with you. Oh, good. I'm so glad he will. That you would be with us. He's never wrong. I'm so pleased to have a man of your quality with us. Hey, Cannon. Thank you, Führer. How may I best serve you? No shirt. Cannon don't need no stinking shirt. He's a man. Got pants. But, man, Führer, I protest. You see this is a trick? He's only pretending. Mueller, I've listened to your whining once too often. Now you will learn what it means to question the Führer. Lash. No, I didn't mean it. So they whip this guy and his head right off. Well done, Lash. You'll come with me, Cannon. I have something to show you. So the only sensible guy in the whole Fourth Reich just got his head whipped off. Look at this panel. This panel is outstanding. This is the V4. It'll win the war for us. One rocket? How can that be? When that nuclear warhead explodes over Moscow, they will not stop to ask who fired it. They will launch an all-out attack against the United States. We've seen this plot so many times. Somebody fakes an attack to Washington, or somebody fakes an attack to Moscow, and then they just sit back. They hit the button. They go down to their bunkers. Why? Because it's what would happen. It's like a logical plot. And then both major powers will wipe each other out, and then we'll move forward. It's crazy, but it could happen. Come on, Cannon. I'll begin to show you your duties. Final countdown in a few days. So now he's given an outfit, and a cigarette. Gonna smoke. Why not? My hands are healing nicely. I can handle a gun again. What? No firing pin? Someone doesn't trust me. So he's given a. Remember, he was shot in the hand with an arrow. And then one day, as the mad dictator reviews his army, a stirring sight. Her cannon. Soon they will be united with the Aryan brothers all over the world. Yes, I can hardly wait, mein Führer. Could you blame the insurance? I don't blame it. It's perfectly good. Perfectly good. I mean, I'm glad people aren't smoking. I think smoking is bad. It to me, I can understand marijuana because at least people get high and stuff. I mean, marijuana I can't stand either. It just turns people into dopey idiots. Just okay, yeah, that's everything's fine. The Grateful Dead are good, but like I just can't stand it. But at least I can understand it. It feels good. Like when from like the age of like 19 to 20, I was like, I'm gonna smoke marijuana, and I smoked pot with the losers down by. I told that story. There was a park, right? It's still there, but I don't live in it. But where I grew up, there was a park down the block, Silver Lake Park in Boulder, and there was just a group of guys that were always there. And they were a couple of years older than me, and I thought they were cool, listening to their Pink Floyd, smoking pot, drinking beer. And I walked past them every day. And then around 19 years old, they're like in their mid 20s, still hanging out at the park. And now I'm smoking pot with them. And that lasted like a year. And I was like, okay, I'm done. And then, go to college, start getting jobs or whatever. And now I'm in my 30s. They're in their mid 30s, and they're still at the park smoking pot. I'm like, oh, they're losers. Oh, and that's what pot does. But anyway, what I don't like is that the government told everybody they couldn't smoke. It was like social engineering. Like right now, social engineering. Be transgender. Be transgender. Like that shows you the power of social engineering. Like smoking is like super addictive, and it got people to stop. Literally, the government is talking people into getting their genitals mutilated, and people are doing it. Not a lot, but people are doing it. So social engineering, it's the creepiest thing in the world. Man, these panels are dense. Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of story packed into as few pages as possible. It takes some skill to be able to make a panel so dense yet so readable. We're dealing with masters over here, Steve Ditko and Wally Wood. Now, the only argument here is, to me, Wally Wood only got better and better and better and better. Steve Ditko hit a high point, if you ask me, around Doctor Strange Spider-Man, and he never was as good as Doctor Strange Spider-Man. So Ditko is on his decline, and it hurts me to say it, but I first started to see Ditko. Well, I take it back. I first started to see Ditko in the early Hulks and Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, but I didn't know it was Ditko because when I read those, I didn't pay any attention to names, and I loved it. When I started to pay attention to names, I started to notice the name Ditko with Micronauts Annual and Marvel Spotlight with Captain Universe and Dragon, and I hated it. Oh my god, I still don't like those Ditko Machine Mans. And the rumor was that Ditko just half-assed it because he needed money, or he was mad at Marvel, so he didn't give him his best, whatever. But look at this. This is outstanding, and this is around the same time period. Maybe the Marvel work was a couple of years later, but I got Ditko's latest works, a big stack of them over here, and I just don't like the art. It's really bizarre. I think Ditko diminished where Wally Wood only improved. Happy Sunday. Hey, RJ, how you doing, RJ? How's call sign Orion? How's that going? Way too many deadheads in Colorado. I picked up a naked one on acid once. There you go. There you go. That's a story to tell. That's a story to tell. At work, not off duty. Oh, you working some? Oh, you're like a fireman, right? Call sign Orion addresses social engineering. Ditko's work for Creepy was very good. Yes. Absolutely. So good with those gray tones. Everything's so good. Let's turn the page. Look at that. I don't know, but looking at this page, look at this. I'll bring it over. Looking at this panel. That panel is just like, it's Steve Ditko, it's Wally Wood, but I also see Jack Kirby and I also see Will Eisner in that. That is, you know, that is like the ultimate comic book artist panel as far as like all the art influences. And then Cannon over here. Look at this. Grabs this guy with the knife. You don't need to show it, but you know what's happening. You know what I mean? It's like, this guy gets stabbed. So this guy gets murderized. This guy gets murderized. 2 men, 1 knife. Cannon at coordinates K101 and JZZ. Desperate situation. It's Red One plan. I repeat, it's Cannon, and he is a spy. Don't move or die right now, traitor. Search him, Otto. What? His transmitter is still open. A momentary distraction is enough, and as a blur of motion, Cannon just starts one slash will take care of the closest Nazis. So just one swipe. Cut, because that's the kind of dude Cannon is. And then, as if killing 3 men with 1 swipe isn't enough, he takes out the light. Kill him, don't let him escape. Where is he? There he goes. Swinging on, using the Nazi banners to swing. Kicks this guy right in the face. He killed 2 guards of escape. He must be stopped. Call the specialists. So, of course, we got Gunner, Blade, Archer, and Lash. And then we got the ambiguous evil guy. Just so great. Wood's work fell off when he was sick doing porn comics in the late 70s. Now, a friend of mine's very interested in those Wally Wood porn comics. So what were they called, or where can you find them for a friend? Now, I'd kind of be interested to see if his subpar work was probably still better than everybody else. Or was he just, I mean, were these porn comics like great Wally Wood quality? And he was just like working for anybody because they'd put up with this alcoholic or whatever. Kind of interesting. I got to look that up. I'm hoping to give a new page of Call Sign Around to show off soon. It features Larry, the most effective social ninja. Yep. And here is the link for Call Sign Around on Fund My Comic. And have a blessed day. I think Zach Tan is going to go off to church now. So let's check the page. I'm so mad that issue number 1 is just so, the Cannon story to me it's like so absurd, and it's so unnecessarily violent. It's and it's Cannon himself. Like he makes Mr. A look like a moderate. In now he's just a good old patriotic ass kicker, but he is like a psychopath in issue number 1, and that's really what I wanted to show off. And now, like, this woman is like begging him to fool around, and he's just like, "Why would I do that?" He's just like, he's into violence. It's like this woman's just like, she made Mistra look like a flat-chested, broad, and Cannon's just looking at her like, "Get up, put your shirt back on." I want to beat people up. So now he's just running around kicking ass, showing proof. And here comes the real U.S. Army. And what does he do? Of course, he climbs into the Fuhrer's tower and drop the gun. Okay, Willie, why did you are Willie von Braun, the man I'm looking for. It's obvious. You're the only one around here who could be. It was an accident. You were badly burned alive, but you substituted because something would happen to your mind. Hatch this plan. Mad? You call me mad? I will call my specialists. To your Fuhrer, your pet killers are dead, Willie, and the U.S. planes are dropping special forces around the castle now. And I have the final triumph to say goodbye to the world. I wouldn't push that button. Oh no, the rocket, my beautiful rocket. How did you? It was easy. The first thing I did was let your rocket fuel run out. The whole castle will go up like a torch. So he sabotaged the rocket. It's been bleeding rocket fuel. Too bad I had to kill him. They might have been able to straighten out his mind. He was a brilliant scientist. Oh well. Let's see if I can get out of pow. Shot by the sexy Erica. And what does he do? Seizing von Blau's fault, bitch, and then just shoots the hell out of her with a machine gun. Cannon staggers to his feet and makes his way to the parapet, just in time to be picked up by a waiting helicopter. Glad to see you guys. Cannon, you've done it again. The whole world owes it. You hold it. Hate to do this, but you've had to take off for the Middle East at once. Dun, dun, dun. And here we got Marvel Comics ad. Dominic Fortune, the Punisher, and who's that? It's like a female. Is that that's a Marvel character? But this is Howard Chaykin. This is Howard Chaykin's artwork. And then the back cover by Marie Severance. Oh, it's Wallywood, colors by Marie Severance. There you go. So I love that cover, the Misfits. And yes, I have a team called the Misfits. You know, I don't think Wallywood is going to be using this name for a while. So yeah. Just got a message that I need to respond to. Everything happens when you're live. So there you go. What do you think about this? That last panel just cracks me up, bitch. And then machine guns a woman, but she did shoot him in the back. Where's the porn? Asking for a friend. This comic was published in 1976 by CPL Gang Publications. Not Wood. This is Wood and Ditko work that was probably done not long after the first issue in 1969. Yeah, the first issue came out in 1969, and then this is 10 years later. And it's funny that it says published annually, but this is it. There was no more. I would have loved to see another issue. It's just ridiculous. Hey, Dave Brink is here. How you doing, Dave? This is Genuine Comics. Check out. He's. I think his campaign is closing for the Perfect 10 trade paperback omnibus, whatever you want to call it. You get a hardcover, you can get soft cover, you can get the individual 6 issues. Check that out. Oh, Dave, you were on the studio last night. How did that go? How did the studio go? I was in a bad mood, so I live streamed and I ended up talking for a couple hours. Was that Mockingbird? No, that was not Mockingbird. I don't know who that is. Is there a female character that teams up with Dominic Fortune? Is this a character that he designed and never used? But does anybody know who this knife throwing chick that Marcus? I don't know who that is. So there you go. Done with the comic. I'm sorry I didn't do issue number 1. I gotta find it. It could be anywhere in my collection. Oh God. Sleeping at noon. Oh geez. It's noon now. All right, so I already talked about my schedule for the week. I got 3 videos scheduled between Monday and Tuesday. I messaged RJ that we could do comic book team up on Wednesday. Let's see what RJ has to say. And got nothing else to say, nothing else to report. Anything? How are you guys doing? I'll just wait a couple of minutes. If I don't get any comments, I'll shut it down, which is good because I really want another cup of coffee. It was just perfectly brewed. So never mind anything about comic books. The most important thing is get yourself a Farberware metal percolator. It's the best coffee. That's it. I was tired and a bit boring, but the guys made some cool art. I appreciate that. Oh, cool. I got to check it out. Marcus, what did you draw? Did you draw a 10 or did you draw that other character that you mentioned? So, all right. Looks like that's it. See you guys. Thanks for a fun Sunday comics. And all I got, maybe, if I find number 1, I'll do number 1 because it's just so insane. It's more insane than this. The Cannon story is just bonkers, and I really wanted to talk about that. But all I could say now is bye, kids.